Alright guys, welcome to episode 3. We're going to start today by talking about the debut album of a newer indie rock band called Broken Bells.
I don't know if you're dead or not, if you anyone. Come on and get the meaning run, before you open up your eyes.
Broken Bells released their first album, a self-titled album, a little over a year ago. Now, Broken Bells is actually a collaboration between lead singer of the Shins, you might have heard of them, James Mercer, and Danger Mouse, who's a producer, multi-instrumentalist. The album kind of has a little bit of the Shins influence on it. You know, it's light and it's breezy in some parts. You know, there isn't anything really that heavy on it. However, what makes it different from the Shins is there's a heavy load of electronica and definitely a lot of funk in parts, and giving it this kind of spacey sound in parts, which is just, it works well with James Mercer's voice. It really does. The album is actually very, very, very solid. It's one of the better indie rock albums I've heard in a while, and I'd definitely check it out if I were you. This episode's showdown is between two classic Aerosmith albums, Toys in the Attic and Rocks. Toys in the Attic came first, you know, about a year, I think about a year before Rocks came out. And, however, in that year, it seems like the band, to me, did a lot of maturation. On Toys in the Attic, to me, it sounded like Aerosmith was going for, like, this Led Zeppelin sound. Once, you know, I don't know, on the title track, Toys in the Attic, you know, you could hear it, and the title track, Toys in the Attic, is actually very cool, a very good song. And, you know, there are some good songs on the album, like Sweet Emotion, and, Round and Round is a very good song as well. But overall, the band is going for like a Led Zeppelin sound, and the fact of the matter is they can't pull it off. You know, Led Zeppelin was Led Zeppelin for a reason. They had that mysticism about them, and that cool, just that cool sound that Led Zeppelin had. And Aerosmith went for it on this album, and mixed in like their like little sexual undertone. You know, overall, they failed miserably, in my view, on Toys in the Attic. Now, Rocks, on the other hand, I think Aerosmith really came into their own and made some awesome, awesome music on Rocks. You know, there's some great blues jams like Last Child, among the others, and as well as just some low-down, you know, hard-rocking songs, like such as Back in the Saddle and Sick as a Dog. You know, overall, Aerosmith really came into their own on this album. Now, I'm not a fan of later 80s Aerosmith, but as far as like the old school Aerosmith goes, I'd say Rocks is just about the best that you're going to get. Now, if you didn't catch it by that, I obviously think that Rocks is so much better than Toys in the Attic. You know, for me, Rocks I think is so much heavier. You know, Aerosmith produced their own sound. You know, the guitar work is really cool. And you know, I don't know, Rocks is just such a great album, and Toys in the Attic just doesn't do it for me. Recently, I had the pleasure of sitting down to Yuck's self-titled new release. It's also their debut album. You know, at first, I'm thinking, you know, this band's name is Yuck. How good can it be? And, you know, the first few tracks on the album didn't do it for me either. You know, they sounded very much so like a Strokes cover band, or just like a bunch of teenagers in a garage rock band that really don't know what they're doing. However, I'd say 3 or 4 songs into the album, you know, they stopped screwing around, they stopped trying to be somebody else, and Yuck actually came out with a bunch of really great sounding, you know, kind of glam rocky, alternative rock sound, similar to the Strokes, but not quite. They really came into their own about halfway through the album and actually made a really decent indie rock album, and I was impressed with it from there on out. You know, I definitely recommend it.
The blood of reptiles.
Downward Spiral, 9 Inch Nails' masterpiece. This little album right here in 1994 took the absolute world by storm, and still to this day has metal critics talking. You know, Trent Reznor on this album. Trent Reznor basically is 9 Inch Nails, for those of you who don't know that. But Trent Reznor on this album took us on a metal journey in which, you know, it was the heaviest of the heavy in some parts, like Heresy and Reptile, and then he fused in great electronica with Closer, which I'm sure everybody and their mother knows, and, you know, other great tracks like Mr. Self-Destruct and among others. And then, at the same time, Trent brought us to tears with absolutely beautiful songs such as like A Warm Place, or the track The Downward Spiral, and then Hurt, which is the album's finale, which is, and as far as I'm concerned, one of lyrically the greatest songs ever written. You know, it's not just another metal album. It's gotten the praise that it's gotten over the years for a reason.
Oh, and I swear it's true, I was just about to say I love you. And then you took the words right out of my mouth.
For this week's albums that you must hear on vinyl to really appreciate segment, I'm going to be talking about a classic album in its own right. I'm talking about Meat Loaf's Bat Out of Hell. You know, this album is famous for being one of like the loudest, you know, most powerful, most epic rock albums of all time. And it's done that way for a reason. Just, you know, the songs on there are just nothing short of powerful, just loud. You know, the vocals are theatrical and over the top, and, you know, the songs on here are epic. Just an epic rock album. The songs are all long and, you know, have crazy instrumentals and are just, it's been voted one of the greatest epic rock albums of all time. However, I've heard it on vinyl and it's just that much more powerful, you know, between Meat Loaf's booming voice and, you know, the music of the members of his band, you know, as well as, like, I think it's members of the E Street Band, Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, that are playing on the album. You know, it's just that much more powerful on vinyl. Definitely worth it checking out. Alright guys, that's it for this week. You know, be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter, check out my blog, and tell me what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Alright, see you next week, guys.